So one of the major mistakes that people make while trying to learn or start their training with the Mudgar is that they don't take enough time to understand the fundamentals, the mechanics. Now, if I were to take the example of a very basic movement, which is the overhead swing or the double hand parikrama, now this requires that you lift the club, drop it all the way down and do a full range of motion. Now, a common mistake that I can notice if people have not taken enough time to understand the mechanics of the exercise, one thing it would be the range of motion. Most of the time they're stuck somewhere around here, which is not the most efficient way to do your swing. You're loading your elbows a lot, you're loading your traps. Now this can be avoided if you had spent enough time to understand how a proper swing is done. And there are a lot more things. It could be something as simple as where you drop the Mudgar. Now people make the mistake of dropping it very close to the shoulder. They drop it outside the shoulder a lot, which is not the most efficient way to swing your Mudgar. So you can fix these errors if you put in the time. So now understand, like I said, this is a very technical format of training. You cannot just watch a random video and expect yourself to be a master at it. Learn the mechanics, correct your fundamentals, and then start your training. One of the most common movements, like we were talking earlier, which is an overhead swing. Now I've seen a lot of people who've been working with the Mudgar for a while, and all they do is your overhead, your parikrama, single hand parikrama, double hand parikrama, and that's all they do. Now the Mudgar has a lot of things to offer. For example, a very simple linear movement, which is an overhead pull. This is called the pullbacks. You could do it with an extension. Now this movement has a lot to offer, right? Also, people think that this is only for your shoulders, right? Only for your forearms, only for your upper body. There's plenty of lower body movements that you do. A simple movement like this called the breachers, where you're constantly shifting your load to the front and back, can maintain a lot of tension on your quads, and you're going to have a nice leg workout if you add this to your arsenal. Rotational movements, right? Swings like where you go under, you switch your hands. You could do this without switching your hands. This is a great rotational exercise. Now, there's a lot of things that you can do with the Mudgar. If you're limiting yourself only to an overhead swing, only to a 360 swing, you're not getting the best out of it. So try to learn more, understand more exercises, and add them to your arsenal. Another common mistake, it's associated to the weight. Now this could go two ways. One mistake that you could make is, before you have gotten used to one particular weight, you're trying to progress onto a super heavy weight or the next weight, for instance. So I have a 5 kilo and a 7 kilo here. Now, unless I am fluid with this, if I do not get to a point where I'm able to comfortably do my single-handed exercises on this, I shouldn't ideally try to get onto the next weight, right? Because I'm still building that strength, my range of motion still is in there, my technique is still not precise. So it doesn't make sense for me to go heavy or try to go to the next weight. It just comes down to your ego lifting, right? You don't want to think of why I'm still working at 4 kilos or 5 kilos. There is always that tendency to go to heavier weights and, do stuff like that. But it will come at a cost if you're trying to compromise on your technique and trying to rush into it. So be mindful of that. You want to work on your technique, get your mechanics right, and then your strength will follow. Once your form is better, then you'll find it easier to get onto the heavier weights, right? On the contrary, there's another part to it where you're always stuck on that same weight, right? Let's say I've been training for 2 years. If I'm always working on the same weight, if I'm always doing 3 sets of 15 or 10 or whatever, that's also going to stall your progress. So after a decent amount of practice, you need to consider your progressive overload. You need to either go up on the weight, increase the weight of the Mudgar that you're using, or the other aspect of that is increase your overall volume. If you were doing 3 sets of 15, try doing 25 reps into 5 sets. So progressive overload is essential. People make this mistake where they stick to the same weight forever, and after a while they start seeing any progress. So these are the 5 common mistakes that people make while training with the Mudgars. Avoid them. You'll see a lot of progress coming your way, and you'll really enjoy the training process. So try these out, avoid these mistakes, keep training hard. Tagda Raho.